Hi, this is Lee Solden. I'm going to invite you to learn Mandarin. Okay. Mandarin has an issue that you got to start with before you before you do anything else. This makes it a little bit different from other languages. You got to learn what the tones are and learn how to hear them correctly. Doesn't take long, and I don't suggest you go into studying Mandarin like many people do and figuring they'll get the tone someday. Could be years, but you can knock that off right off the bat and then go on from there. So get you started on doing ear tuning exercises for Mandarin. Okay. Now this is going to start with passive listening to the same audiobook that I'll later teach you. Okay. So you're going to start looping this audiobook in Mandarin for passive listening for now for the purpose of doing the ear tuning, starting with ear tuning to tones. Later on, you'll continue ear tuning, doing ear tuning exercises still to the tones, but now you'll add in the rest of the syllable, the duh or the consonants, the vowels. You're going to start just worrying about the tones. What is a tone? Okay. Mandarin has 6 of them. And it may sound like a lot of tones, which is the pitches in which things are said, but the English language has every bit as complex a tone pattern as Mandarin does. We're not so aware of it, but when someone says something to us in a certain tone, we know that we've been insulted or praised, etc., by the tone of the voice. If someone says, good job to you, they're probably sincere about it. If they say, good job, maybe they're like, okay, they know they're supposed to praise you, but they didn't sound very enthusiastic about it, right? So we use tones in English constantly without thinking about it, okay? So in Mandarin, the difference is that every syllable spoken has a proper tone. So they have to use the right uh, upward. It's about the pitch pattern of the voice, right? Earlier I said, "Good job." Kind of went up there in the voice range, right? When I really meant it, but when I said "good job," it's like, what did I mean there? I don't know, or just good job. Okay, not very enthusiastic. Okay, so what changed was the pitch of my voice. Good job, good job, good job. I changed the pitch, high pitch, good job, good job, good job. Okay, and that's completely optional. In English, you can change your pitch all you want, whenever you want, for every reason you choose to. So there's no right or wrong way to do your pitch. But in Mandarin, every syllable has a correct pitch. So it takes a bit of getting used to that, or just do my ear tuning exercises to the Mandarin tones, get it, understand it quickly. Now, okay, once you've done that, once you can hear the Mandarin tones correctly, then you start ear tuning to the rest of the content of Mandarin with ear tuning syllables. But now the ear tuning syllables will also lead off with a number in front of them telling you what the tone is that you say that in. And you're still going to do directly ear tune to tone marks, which is all you're going to start with, just tone marks. And you don't care what the person's saying. You just care what pitch they're saying it in. That's it. What pitch are they saying it in? Okay. You get that down, maybe not 100%, but you should get pretty close to being able to differentiate what pitch something's being said in. Okay, then you add in the rest of the syllable. Then, along with this process, you're going to be doing ear tuning to both the tone marks and the rest of the syllable using the Chinese symbols. In other words, you're not going to study Chinese symbols. You're going to use them in your ear tuning exercises right along from the start, and you're going to recognize what they sound like. I'm not going to teach you what any of them mean, but you'll know what they sound like. When you hear one, you'll say, "Oh, I know, I recognize that." You're going to recognize the sound spoken. So when you put a series of symbols in front of you, you can look at them and go, "Oh, that's da 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 da." You don't know what the heck any of those symbols mean, but you can hear them correctly, okay? Including the tones, because you're going to actually use when you're. This is somewhat complex, kinda. Okay, number one, you're going to start out ear tuning to the tones. Then you're going to still ear tune to the tones, but now with the whole ear tuning syllable. But you're not going to pay attention to the ear tuning syllable for the most part at first. You should listen to to the tones. Later on, you're going to start ear tuning to the whole thing, the both the tones and the rest of the ear tuning syllable, the vowels and consonants. Then you're going to shift that to ear tuning to what we call pinyin. This is what you type into the computer. A Chinese person or a Mandarin speaker, or most people in China, they have their own pinyin for various languages that all use the Chinese writing system. Anyway, so you type in your pinyin, and that brings up the right Chinese symbol. That's how you type Chinese. Okay, but that pinyin has a way to pronounce it correctly, and the pinyin has tones to it. I'm going to shift your ear tuning exercises to that pinyin for your tones. Later, I'm going to shift your ear tuning for the whole thing to the pinyin, and then you're going to shift it all to the symbols. And every step of the way, you're going to be doing the ear tuning, just the tone marks to all that. Okay. Then when it comes to ear tuning to the whole syllable, including the tone set in, well, now you can't just use tone marks, but you can use the ear tuning syllables, you can use the pinyin, and you can use the symbols. And you're still just worrying about hearing things right. Still not learning any Chinese, not a single word. Why would you want to anyway? If you can't hear something right, what good is it if you can't hear any of it right, okay? Once you can hear it correctly, and it doesn't take that long, then you start learning what that you already hear correctly means in a story. So the sentences are connected. You hear it all, you're going to hear it all in context continuously, because you're still always going to do some ear tuning. You don't stop. You don't want a good ear for Mandarin. You want a native ear for Mandarin. So you're going to keep doing the ear tuning exercises, not as much. You can drop off on how much you do on them. You never stop the passive listening. You're going to make passive listening a part of your life. Okay. I'm going to ask you to watch some other videos. You see here, I just did one, number 60, introducing, inviting people to learn Portuguese from me. I went into more detail about how the whole system works. So this video, I want to talk about applying it to Mandarin, okay? So please go watch number 60. This here is going to be number 61, introduction or invitation for people to learn Mandarin from me, okay? So after you can hear Mandarin correctly, then then at that point, it becomes like any other language. You learn it by lightly looking at it and looping it in the background. In other words, passive listening. So, like any other language at that point, passive listening is going to promote further ear tuning along with the ear tuning exercises, which you never stop either. And it's going to also allow you to soak up the language without studying it. You are going to briefly look over your notes on what the Mandarin sentence means. Okay, I'll tell you what the Mandarin sentence means so that you can now hear correctly. Okay, so you look over those notes briefly, then you read the Mandarin 3 times while you are listening to. Read it while you're listening to it from the audiobook. Okay. Now, of course, you can read it because you've been doing those ear tuning exercises. You know what these symbols sound like. So you can read the symbols. In other words, you can sound them out if you want to. I'm not telling people to speak at this point. You're still listening pretty much. Okay. So, but you know what these symbols sound like, and now you're reading them while you're being introduced to what the meaning is. Okay. This means da 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 da. Okay. Read it while listening 3 times. 3 times. Now close your eyes, listen to the same sentence 3 times, just listening carefully. Okay. Now you're gonna hear it perfectly, and you kind of know what it means, but this does not mean you understand the spoken Mandarin that day. It's spoken to you. It's a foreign language. Like, kind of. Well, I just looked at the notes, but when I heard it, I couldn't really pick it up. That's okay. At this point, your speech center is hearing everything perfectly. It got the definitions because you just looked them over. It will put that together for you overnight. You'll wake up the next morning knowing more Mandarin. In other words, when you go to work on your Mandarin tomorrow, go over the same sentence, the same set of read throughs. This is what I call this associating the words, the known words to the Mandarin, or the known words to the target language. Call it read throughs. It's a process of introduce yourself to the meaning of the target language, Mandarin in this case, in terms of your native language, which for this specific course would be English, although I plan to teach it in several other languages. This is a light introduction. Then you listen to it, close your eyes, listen to it some more. Let your speech center work on it overnight. Night after night, your speech center work on it. Every morning you wake up knowing more Mandarin. And then this whole process accelerates. Again, once you hear Mandarin correctly, including the tones, you hear it all correctly. Now picking it up becomes a breeze, and it's as quick as picking up any other language. There's no difference at this point. You got a good ear for it, just like any child has a good ear for their language. They have no trouble picking it up at that point, right? And you'll have no trouble picking up the Mandarin language going this route, which is the exact same route every child born in a Mandarin speaking household in China goes. They don't wake up knowing Mandarin. I mean, they get born knowing Mandarin, I should say. They, first of all, their ear tunes into it, including the tones, just like I'm going to have you do. And then after they hear it really good, then they start learning what the words are. Their speech center hears stuff, looks around, gets some associations. Okay. Well, guess what? You're gonna hear the Mandarin, and you're not gonna have to look around too much because hey, you just told your speech center what the sentence it's about to hear means in terms of a known language. So you gave your speech center way more than it's used to. Okay. So you're gonna do every day going forward, like let's say 3-4 months from now, every day you're gonna wake up, do a little bit of ear tuning exercises. You're gonna start doing your read throughs, maybe a half hour worth of going through what something means, and then listening to it. Close your eyes and listen to it. With Mandarin, those read-throughs will be sometimes to the symbols, sometimes to the pinyin, sometimes even to the ear tuning symbols, ear tuning syllables, I meant to say, sorry. The ear tuning syllables, the pinyin. So, and some of it will be just ear tuning to tones for tone marks. You'll be doing all that stuff. And just doing those read-throughs, you're going to you don't have to go study those symbols. They're all going to be familiar to you. What do you need to practice? Well, you need to practice typing in Mandarin. So get your Mandarin keyboard set up, practice typing it. You need to practice. I believe everyone should practice writing the symbols. Learn how to write symbols. But a lot of people that live in China don't know how to write the symbols. They know how to read it, they know how to type it, but they figure why would they know how to actually write it? They just type it in the computer and it writes it for them, right? So not everyone keeps that skill of actually being able to write Chinese symbols. So, but I would guess that you should learn how to write them now. But you don't learn how to write them to memorize them. You already know them. Just like uh, people in growing up learning Mandarin, they already know the Mandarin. Now they're practicing making the symbols, right? You're gonna be in the same boat. You already know the Mandarin by ear. You know what it means, and you're gonna be practicing how to write the symbols. You're not gonna be trying to memorize what the symbol means at the same time you're worried about how to write it. Okay, so that's it. Instructions. I'm going to post a link to a video, the first one I'm going to teach you. You are to start doing passive listening to it. Again, go to number 60, and I go through my program more. Let me see here, number 46, list that in English, kind of talks about my program. Matter of fact, if you go to like videos number 1 through 7 are all about my program. Yeah, you want to learn Dutch? Hey, number 9 through the whole series is teaching Dutch and talking about my program. A lot of my videos have stuff about my program. Go listen to some of that if you want to know more about all the nuts and bolts of my program, my history, how it got developed, how I stumbled into it. So, number 1 instruction for now. Start listening passively to that audiobook that I'll post to this video. Good day.